how to make your home business successful. So welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas, and I've been in a home-based business for more than 30 years. So I'll start out by telling you it's not going to be easy, but if you want to have a life, your own life, and you want to control it, well, you'll definitely want to have a home-based business. Maybe you want to be rich. Maybe you're thinking about wealth. Maybe you're thinking about lots of time off. So later in this episode, I'll reveal a home-based business that's been successful for me for well over 30 years. It's relatively easy to start. There's thousands and thousands of people that can be in the business. But for sure, on your way, you're going to study YouTube videos. You're going to read a lot of blogs. You're going to hear a lot from professors and other people. And I know that everyone's going to make it sound like this is going to be a piece of cake. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not going to be a piece of cake. It's going to take a person with determination and focus to be successful at your own home-based business. Now, if you like to read blogs, definitely do that. If you like to watch the videos on how to get started, definitely do that. Now, I see a lot of people claim that it's easy, okay? So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you what it's really like, and I'm going to give you the cold, hard reality. However, once you learn how to do this, it's going to be a big change in your life. It'll be for better. Now, I know lots of people that get started, and they change from their regular job of 40 hours a week, and they become an entrepreneur or a freelancer, and now suddenly they're working 60 hours a week. So 60 hours is a third more than you're already working, so don't just quit that job indiscriminately. Make sure that you're already going to be able to make money. Now, if you want freedom, you don't want a boss, you want fame, whatever it is, you'll want to be in your own home-based business. So I'm not sugarcoating, I'm just going to tell you what it's really like. All right, now there's lots of research to be done on home businesses. Now, I'm not negative on them at all, but I'm realistic. And the information I'm going to give you will tell you that you're going to have to work a lot harder at your home-based business than you will if you work for someone else. So I'm not going to give you a long list of 101 tips to be in business, okay? If I give you that long list, that's what someone's going to do that's a writer or a professor or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get right down to the nitty-gritties and tell you how to make your home business successful. And it's not all that difficult. So don't expect a list of 30 items and bullets that you got to do and all that, the do's and don'ts and the pros and cons. I'm going to get right to it and tell you a lot of practical information, which I learned from 30 years of business. So number one priority in a business is you're going to have to make revenue. So write that down. Revenue is number one. What's number two and what's number three? I can tell you right now, it's going to be sales and marketing. Now, you're going to get all kinds of business plans. You can get them from YouTube. You can get them from blogs, whatever. And you're going to find two great pieces missing. Some of these business plans are 100 pages, 50 pages. They're all bound and pretty and looking all nice. However, they leave out how you're going to get revenue and how you're going to do sales and marketing. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing you have to do in business is solve other people's problems. So if you don't have a problem-solving product that people are willing to pay you for, then you're not going to have revenue and your business is not going to be around very long. So what you need is revenue. You've got to get that in your head. You don't need a business plan of 100 pages. You don't need to talk about branding. You don't need a whole bunch of bullets to go through and what kind of chair you're going to buy, what your office is going to look like. You need to talk about revenue, and you need to talk about a problem-solving product or a problem-solving service that people will buy. That's what's going to create the revenue. Now, if you get revenue, now you got to figure out the marketing and sales part. So when you read these business plans, you'll find out 90% of them or more will have left out where's the revenue coming from, because they're put together by writers and professors and attorneys and people that aren't in business where they're going to have to generate revenue. So I don't care what the environment is. I don't care if the business feels good or doesn't feel good. If you're going to have a business, you need to do number one, know what your revenue is, and you better know how you're going to do your sales and marketing. If you don't get those two, don't tackle that business. Don't get in there with all these lists and start going through that. Now, if you've already quit your job, you're in trouble. So make sure you keep your job while you're going through this process of creating a problem-solving product or service. It's going to be really, really important to you, okay? So when you're entering into a business, it would be nice if it was something you like. But I don't think that's number one priority. Everyone says, oh, you have to love what you're doing and all that. I don't know about loving what I'm doing, but I know that I want to get a business that's number one, going to produce revenue, Number two, it's something that I can get involved in marketing and sales. All right, so I'm not going to give you a long list. You got to get a business permit, and here's how you get tax deductions. Here's how you do things cheaper. Here's how to outsource. What professional organization you're going to join. All that is a distraction. It's a distraction. You can get to that later. Problem-solving product, problem-solving service, revenue, market, and sales. All right, and distribution. You've got to get that. If you don't get that, you won't be in business. So think about what I'm saying. Everybody wants to have a glamorous idea of what this business is. All right, now I'm going to tell you about a business in a few minutes. There's nothing glamorous about it, but the revenue is over the top. I mean, I'm talking about $25,000, $50,000. That's a lot of money. So you're not going to survive with your widget. You're not going to survive unless it's something people want and something that they will pay for. So what is the problem-solving product for them? What is the problem-solving service? Okay, in my opinion, if you haven't covered that, you're probably not going to be in business very long. It's going to be a tough time. Now, don't listen just to me. That's not just my opinion. The Small Business Administration, which is a division of the United States government, says what? They say 80% of all startups will fail in the first 5 years. 80%. And the surviving 20%, another 80% of them will fail in the next 5 years. All right, so add that together, do the math, 96% failure rate. Why do they fail? Well, just ask the Small Business Administration. They will tell you why they fail. They can't sustain the revenue. They don't understand marketing and sales. Don't have to take my word for it. Just read what the Small Business Administration will tell you. They are in the business of lending money. They have found out the hard way that these businesses go broke. When they go broke, they can't pay back the debt. All right, so if 96% failure rate, that means you got to think about what we're talking about. Sustaining revenue is not something that's going to be very easy. Marketing and sales, very few people want to even study that. They just want to, oh, it's just going to happen. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's just not going to happen. The companies that do good marketing and sales survive. Okay, so 30 years ago, I was fortunate. I discovered a little-known business. But it was a subset of the real estate business. Now, what's real estate? Well, that could be homes. You know about that. Sometimes it's residential buildable lots. Sometimes it's little farms or apartments. A lot of people involved, like real estate brokers, agents, title companies, attorneys. That's the real estate business. There's millions of people involved in that. This is a subset of that business. And the subset is where the property owners don't pay their tax. That's a big problem. That's a real big problem, not for you and me, but for the county. Because the county has bills to pay. And all the revenue that comes into the county comes first through property taxes. So if they can't collect property tax, how are they going to pay the county employees? How are they going to pay the school teachers? You're getting the idea. How are they going to fix the roads? Who's going to pay the firefighters? Well, they won't be able to do any of that if they don't get revenue. So what do they have to do? Well, the subset is the property's in default. So the county's going to do something very quickly, and they're going to be very abrupt about it. They're going to take those properties, and they're going to confiscate them, and then they're going to resell them back into the marketplace. The county doesn't want the property, and they don't want used and abused properties. They don't want junker properties. They don't even want move-in properties. They don't want any of that. So what they do is they discount 60, 70, 80%. If you can buy property for 60, 70, 80% discounts with no mortgage, because the county wipes out the mortgage. That's right, they cancel the mortgage. Well, now you're going to have a business that you could buy low and you could sell for any price you want. All right, so this business since day one has always made me good profits. Why? Because it's a subset of a business that everybody understands, and I can buy for 60, 70, 80% discounts. So what I'm really telling you is people are buying property in all 3,000 counties across the United States. They're buying property at 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar with no mortgage. Now, if you could buy for 30 cents on the dollar with no mortgage, you ask yourself, could you sell it and make a profit? Now, are you going to make 100% profit? I don't know. But if you bought it for 30, if it was a $100,000 property, you bought it for 30,000, could you sell it for 60? Well, of course you could. How could you do that? Well, you could sell it on the multiple listing. You could sell it on Craigslist. You could sell it on eBay. You could sell it on Trulia. You're getting the idea. Everybody was willing to help you out. The point is, this is a business that's very sustainable. It's been around for 200 years, and there's lots of abundance. All right, so I'm going to run out of time, but I want to tell you, if you are going to get involved in that business, there's a couple of things you might want to know about. One, you might want to know about auction lists. This is my auction calendar you can see there. So we can pick out auction lists in any state in the United States. Now, did they all have auctions at the same time? No. So I have an auction calendar here. We can look it up right away when the auctions are, and you can do all of this online. So I have a lot more videos on this channel that you can go to. My name is Ted Thomas.